U.S. President Donald Trump has denied a New York Times report that his close ally, billionaire Elon Musk, will receive, quote, a top-secret briefing on Washington's strategy in the event of war breaking out with China. Posting on his platform, Truth Social, Mr. Trump criticized the media outlet for releasing false information. He says China is not on the agenda for Elon Musk's meeting at the Pentagon. The Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post have since reported on the briefing as well. Citing anonymous officials in its report, the New York Times says the briefing for Mr. Musk will provide an overview on various topics, and that would include China. It added that it will involve 20 to 30 slides laying out how the U.S. will fight in the event of conflict with China. The Pentagon has also denounced the New York Times article as fake news, saying the meeting is an informal one about innovation and efficiencies. It remains unclear if the briefing for Mr. Musk will go ahead as originally planned. Mr. Musk joining in the chorus of criticism as well. He openly threatened Pentagon employees who may have leaked this information to the NYT, warning that they will be found and prosecuted at the Pentagon. If more, we're joined by Nina Maria Potts, reporting live from Washington, D.C. Nina, both Mr. Trump and the Pentagon saying the meeting will go ahead, but it does not involve China. So what do we know about this meeting?
Yes, I would just say that denials from President Trump and certainly that post from Elon Musk still makes it very unclear as to whether or not a briefing had been planned. What President Trump is saying is that China would not have been mentioned. So yes, in part, he was denying that briefing, but I think it's still very unclear as to whether or not it was due to happen. And as you said just now, whether it will go ahead. A meeting is going ahead of sorts. The White House saying that there will be an Oval Office meeting between President Trump and the US Defense Secretary for what it calls remarks. But just to pause on Elon Musk, were he to be handed access to highly sensitive military documents and planning, his role as advisor to President Trump and as executioner of deep federal cuts would be a massive departure. Those Pentagon war plans you mentioned, the presentation on China and that military planning would have involved, according to the New York Times, 20 to 30 slides. Pentagon war plans are known as O plans or operational plans. And needless to say, if those military plans are leaked to a foreign government, it would immediately undermine America's ability to defend itself. And it really cuts to the core of intelligence gathering and the mission of spying agencies. On China, the New York Times specifies that these slides that you mentioned would have been, as far as we know, a broad outline. I don't think any president would get the level of technical detail, but yes, it would outline the timeline.
Mr. Musk, he is a close political ally and an advisor to Donald Trump, but he is, in truth, an unelected official. And he does have relatively high security clearance, but suggestions that he might, with this clearance, have access, as you also point out, to, in this instance, if this report were in fact to be true, to highly sensitive military plans. Are there concerns about the level of Mr. Musk's clearance?
Well, you rightly point to two big issues. One is that access to those classified documents, as we said, would massively extend Elon Musk's role and remit, and it would raise conflict of interest issues, mainly because of SpaceX, which is a huge government contractor, and his interest in Tesla, and he also has financial interests in China. His network of Starlink satellites also produce data and comms from space. They're thought to be more resilient than traditional satellites. To extend the conflict of interest concerns further, he might well have an interest in learning whether or not the US would be able to defend or could defend his satellites in a war with China or in any war with China. It's also worth saying that contractors working on relevant Pentagon projects do generally have access to certain limited information. But I just wanted to stress that the president himself, who's the final decision maker, would only get the broad outline, not the very detailed layers of technical planning, the technical planning of a war.
Thanks. Nina Maria Potts reporting live there from Washington, D.C.